In this world, I, Ethan, heir to a top-tier wealthy family, am worth tens of billions of dollars. I've decided I'm not going back. I'm going to lie flat. I transmigrated into a book. To be precise, I slipped into a world stitched together from multiple urban wish fulfillment novels. A mechanical voice in my head was broadcasting frantically. Ding! Host Soul Fusion detected complete. Pamper the heroine to grow stronger. System officially activated. Newbie task issued. Soothe the returning white moonlight heroine Luna. Accept the child in her womb and promise her a grand wedding. Upon completion, reward, God-tier medical skill, and return to the real world. I, Ethan, stood in my villa's living room and looked at the woman on the sofa, eyes swollen from crying, pitiable as a wisp of willow blossoms in the rain. Her name was Luna, the white moonlight of the original owner of this body. 3 years ago, she left the original owner for some so-called dream and love, going far away. Now she was back, and pregnant, nearly due. She cried as if her heart were breaking, dabbing at her eyes while warily watching my expression. Ethan, I know I have no face to return to, but he doesn't want me anymore. I only have you. This child is innocent. Please, for the sake of what we once had, take us in, me and my baby. Before I could speak, the system in my head exploded again. Host, agree to her quickly. This is your first step to a comeback. As long as you take on the responsibility, no, as long as you dote on her, you will reach the pinnacle of life. I showed no expression. Play the rebound guy, then reach the pinnacle of life? I glanced down at the Patek Philippe on my wrist worth 8 figures, then at the row of limited edition sports cars parked outside the floor-to-ceiling window. Me, Ethan, sole heir of the Johnson family, the city's top dynasty. Need to come back? As for returning to the real world, why would I go back? Keep running deliveries under the scorching sun, bowing and smiling for a 5-star rating? Or squeeze into a 10-square-meter rental, eating instant noodles and fantasizing about the future? I'm tired. This world had money and leisure, servants in droves. I only needed to lie down to enjoy the ultimate luxury. Go back. No way. Ethan, why aren't you saying anything? Are you mad at me? Luna cried louder as I kept silent, acting as if grievously wronged. I picked at my ear. It was noisy. I signaled to the butler Arthur on my side. Arthur, Mr. Johnson, at your command. Butler Arthur bowed, respectfully. I pointed at Luna, curtly. Make her quiet. Arthur was taken aback. He hadn't expected this reaction from me. After all, everyone in the Johnson family knew that the previous Mr. Ethan had been Luna's most loyal dog. But Arthur was professional. He immediately understood and made a polite please gesture toward Luna. Ms. Miller, Mr. Johnson is tired and needs rest. I will handle your matters. Luna stared at me in disbelief, the tears in her eyes frozen midstream. Ethan, you sending me away? I couldn't be bothered with her and issued a command to the system in my head. System, unbind. Host? What did you say? The system stuttered. I said unbind. I'm done with this. My tone was flat but unequivocal. Find someone else to be your bootlicker. Don't bother me. Warning. Warning. Host refuses to execute the task and will be punished. System will impose restrictions on your bodily functions. No sooner had the words fallen than I felt my body sink suddenly, as if all my strength had been drained away. I frowned. Interesting. Arthur, I spoke again. Help me up. Mr. Johnson. Arthur hurried forward and steadied me. I leaned against him and watched Luna being escorted out of the villa by the bodyguards, a cold smile curling at the corner of my mouth. Threaten me with bodily functions? Perfect. I don't even feel like leaving. Arthur, for dinner I want French truffle chicken stew, the one made by the master at Maple Leaf Bistro. Also, open a bottle of that handcrafted berry wine from my cellar. After dinner, I want a bath. Add plenty of essential oils. I closed my eyes and, with complete ease, rested my full weight on Arthur. The system in my head fell utterly silent. It probably never imagined anyone would treat its punishment as a pleasure. I'm an expert at lying flat. The system seemed stunned by my shamelessness and stayed mute all night. I enjoyed the peace. After soaking in a bathtub worth tens of millions of dollars and sipping rich handcrafted berry wine, I felt I had reached life's peak. The next day, I woke naturally. Sunshine poured through the huge, floor-to-ceiling windows, warm and pleasant. I stretched and felt comfortable all over. The weakness punishment the system imposed was still in effect, but that gave me the perfect excuse to keep lying flat. "Arthur, carry me out of bed." I called toward the door. Arthur, waiting outside, immediately pushed the door open, followed by two maids. With their help, I finished washing and dressing, then was carried to the dining room like an emperor. The long table was laden with a dazzling array of breakfasts, Chinese and Western, everything imaginable. I took a sip of caviar congee and leisurely asked, "Any developments with that Ms. Miller from yesterday?" Arthur stood respectfully to the side and answered, reporting to Mr. Johnson. After we escorted Ms. Miller away, she immediately contacted multiple media outlets, saying you led her on and abandoned her, that you're an irresponsible jerk. "Oh," I raised an eyebrow. "And then?" Then, Arthur pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses, a glint flashing behind the lenses. Under the guidance of our PR team, public opinion has shifted. He handed me a tablet. On the screen, a striking headline came into view. Hashtag High Society Secret. Love-struck heir waits 3 years. White Moonlight returns with child. Is the child's father someone else? Hashtag the comment section below was even more entertaining. Damn, this plot. Even TV dramas wouldn't dare. So she couldn't make it abroad and came back to find a sugar daddy? Poor Mr. Ethan. Feel sorry for Mr. Ethan. Cheated on and then framed. What an absolute tragic figure. I nodded in satisfaction. Arthur did well on this matter. No wonder he's a gold star butler with an 8-figure annual salary. System detects White Moonlight heroine Luna's reputation has plummeted. Host mission failed. Penalty doubled. The system in my head started screaming again. I felt myself weaken several degrees more, nearly losing the strength to hold the spoon. "Arthur, feed me." I opened my mouth. "Arthur." He fell silent for a moment, then resignedly picked up the spoon and fed me the porridge, spoonful by spoonful. I enjoyed the service of having food brought to my mouth, feeling cheerful. "Keep going, don't stop. I'm curious to see what this system can do to me." Just then my personal phone rang. Arthur answered for me. After listening for a few words, his expression turned odd, and he handed the phone to my ear. "Mr. Johnson, it's the Bennett family on the line." The Bennett family? I ran the information through my head. The Bennett family, another top dynasty in Jing City, and also the original owner's betrothal family. A cold female voice came from the other end, laced with undisguised mockery. "Ethan, I heard you've been neglecting the company for an unknown woman." It was my former fiancée, the Bennett family's eldest Miss Chloe, a textbook beautiful CEO, a genius at work, and an idiot in life. She had always looked down on the original owner as a good-for-nothing playboy. "It seems there's no need to continue with our engagement," she announced coldly. "Tomorrow I'll send a lawyer over to handle the annulment." "Oh," I answered indifferently. "Annul the engagement? Fine by me. I don't even have to bother with a wife anymore. I can lie back even more comfortably." Ding. Detected. Iceberg CEO female supporting role. Chloe's affection for the host has dropped to 0. Engagement will be annulled. Host side quest failed. Punishment doubled. BFF. The mouthful of porridge I had just taken nearly shot out of me. This system comes with chain penalties? My body went limp like a puddle of mud. I collapsed completely into the chair, unable to move even a finger. Arthur was alarmed. "Mr. Johnson, what's wrong?" "Call a doctor." I weakly waved him off, signaling not to panic. Then, summoning all my strength, I gave the system in my head the middle finger. "Do it. Just kill me already." Chloe's call felt like a signal. The next day, I fully understood what "when it rains, it pours" meant. Ding. Detected. Pregnant little wife, Sophia, is about to run away from home. Host must go immediately to appease her and stop her pregnancy. Ding. Detected. Divorced single mom cleaning aunt Margaret Davis has developed feelings for you. Host must display your tenderness and wealth to make her feel warmth. Ding. Detected. The poor female college student MAU sponsor is about to graduate. Host must arrange housing and a job for her, showcasing your domineering and pampering nature. The system's notification tones in my head played like a symphony. I finally understood just what kind of hell the original owner had been living in. This wasn't a typical CEO romance novel. This was basically a shelter for the female lead, and I was the sucker running it. Faced with the urgent tasks the system issued, my choice was, Arthur, bring me my game console. Arthur, change up the afternoon tea today. I want French pastries. Arthur, chase away all those women clamoring to see me. Don't let a single one in. I gave up completely. The penalties from the system grew heavier. Even opening my eyes felt like hard work. But that didn't stop me from enjoying life. With Arthur and a host of servants, even if I were an incapable baby, I could still live comfortably. Host, if you keep this up, you will really die. The system had moved from screaming to pleading. Die then, I thought indifferently. Being a well-fed ghost isn't so bad. You're ruthless. The system finally conceded and fell silent. The world grew peaceful. I lay back on the garden chaise and basked in the afternoon sun. Arthur sat beside me, reading today's news aloud. Miller Enterprises stock plunged 30% today, teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. It is reported that the cause of its collapse is related to its recent attempt to encroach on assets under Johnson Group. Bennett Corporation President Chloe has unilaterally announced the formal annulment of her engagement to Johnson Group heir Mr. Ethan, MS. Bennett stated she cannot accept a partner with no ambition who indulges in pleasure. Today's top trending topic, hashtag Ethan didn't get out of bed today, hashtag. The topic has sparked heated discussion across the internet, and Johnson Group's stock rose rather than fell, up 5% against the market. I listened to the news and grew drowsy. None of this seemed to have anything to do with me. I was just a saltfish who wanted to lie flat. Just as I was about to fall asleep, a gentle female voice sounded by my ear. Excuse me, is this Mr. Ethan's home? I forced one eyelid open. A girl in a plain long dress stood not far away. Her hair reached her waist. She had a gentle temperament and a faint smile on her face, as if she had stepped out of a painting of the water towns in Jiangnan. In her hand, she carried an antique-style food box. I'm Sophia, she introduced herself. I'm a pastry chef at Maple Leaf Bistro. I heard yesterday that Mr. Ethan likes our restaurant's French truffle braised chicken, so today my master specially asked me to bring freshly made pastries, hoping they suit your taste. Sophia? I searched my mind, but found no information on her. She wasn't any of the female leads from the system tasks. She was just delivering pastries? My gaze fell on the box she was carrying, and I smelled a faint osmanthus fragrance. My stomach made an untimely noise. Sophia heard it. Her cheeks reddened slightly, but her smile deepened. Mr. Ethan, are you hungry? She walked over, opened the box, and placed dish after dish of delicate berry macarons and caramel profiteroles on the small table in front of me. These are all made by me personally. I hope you won't dislike them. I looked at the cute little treats, then at her gentle, smiling face. Suddenly, I felt that this damned punishment even robbed me of the pleasure of feeding myself desserts. For the first time, I felt a sliver of resentment toward the system. Not because it wanted me to be a simp, but because it interfered with my enjoyment of food. Arthur, I sighed, feed me. Sophia watched this scene. Surprise flashed briefly in her eyes, but it quickly turned into understanding and pity. Mr. Ethan, are you unwell? She asked with concern. I couldn't be bothered to explain. I just looked at her. In the sunlight, her skin glowed white, and her long eyelashes were like little brushes. Yep, a feast for the eyes, just like the pastries. Sophia seemed to misunderstand my physical condition. Seeing Arthur feeding me like attending to a paralyzed patient, the compassion in her gaze nearly overflowed. Mr. Ethan, is your illness serious? She asked cautiously. I lazily lifted my eyelids slightly, saying nothing. Serious? It was pretty serious. Late-stage laziness incurable. Arthur let out an appropriately timed sigh and, in a mournful tone, said, "Mr. Johnson." Sigh. It's complicated. That acting, it's a shame if he doesn't get an Oscar. Sophia had fallen for it. She looked at me with even more pity. It's all right. Everything will get better. She soothed me softly, her voice brushing the tip of my heart like a feather. She took a small, fragrant sachet from her handbag and handed it to me. I made this myself from calming herbs. Smell it. Maybe it will make you feel better. An orchid was embroidered on the sachet, the stitches fine, showing the owner's care. A light, elegant herbal scent drifted out, truly calming the mind. I signaled for Arthur to accept it. "Thank her for me," I told Arthur. Arthur dutifully conveyed my thanks and added a tragic look that said, "Our Mr. Johnson can't express it, but he's grateful." Sophia waved her hands and said there was no need to be so polite. She stayed and sat with me for a while, talking about food and the art of tea. I found she knew a lot. Everything from the essence of the 8 major cuisines to brewing techniques for various teas came effortlessly to her. Talking with her was pleasant. Not like the women in the system's tasks, either crying and whimpering, aggressive and confrontational, or trying to get something from me. Sophia was different. She was like a breath of fresh air, soothing and refreshing. As she left, she kept looking back anxiously. "Mr. Ethan, you must take good care of yourself. I'll come see you again tomorrow." Watching her walk away, I rubbed my chin. This girl is interesting. Ding. Warning. Excessive contact detected between the host and a non-target. Cease this dangerous behavior immediately. The system's voice sounded again, flustered. I couldn't be bothered with it. "Arthur, check Sophia's background," I ordered. Although I had a good impression of her, caution was still necessary. Arthur was efficient. Half an hour later, he put Sophia's file in front of me. Her family was complete. An only daughter. Both parents were university professors, a scholarly household. She herself was an academic achiever, collecting awards since childhood. After university, she, for the love of traditional culture, declined offers from many famous companies and chose to work as a small pastry chef at Maple Leaf Bistro. Her finances were clean, her record spotless like a blank page. Most importantly, her family background seemed even deeper than that of the former fiancée Chloe's family. The Taylor family had always been low profile and little known to outsiders. I looked at the file and smiled with satisfaction. Good, now I can associate with peace of mind. "Arthur, tomorrow when Ms. Taylor comes again, prepare my treasured top-grade Darjeeling tea." "Yes, Mr. Johnson." I leaned back in the chaise lounge, closed my eyes, and felt happier than ever. As for the system, let have a meltdown on the side. The next day, Sophia did come again. She brought new pastries and an old book about classical health recipes and wanted to read it to me. I lay on my chair, listening to her gentle voice, eating the food she made, enjoying Arthur's brewed top-grade Darjeeling. Life like this, what more could one ask for? Right then, an uninvited guest interrupted the tranquility. Chloe arrived. She wore a well-tailored black suit, her hair tied high, stepping in 10-centimeter heels, full of presence. When she saw this corrupt scene in the garden, her pretty brows immediately knitted. "Ethan, I really underestimated you." She walked up to me and looked down from above, contempt in her eyes. "The engagement was just broken off, and you're already so eager to find new woman?" Her gaze swept over Sophia, full of scrutiny and contempt. Sophia was startled by her powerful aura and instinctively shrank back. I couldn't be bothered to even lift an eyelid. Something wrong. My cold attitude clearly angered Chloe. "I came to give you one last warning," she sneered. "Don't think the Johnson family will protect you forever. If you keep falling apart like this, Johnson Group will inevitably be ruined by you." "Oh." I responded and signaled Arthur to adjust my position so I could lie more comfortably. Chloe's expression grew uglier. She had probably never been so ignored. "You," she fumed, her chest heaving. "You're hopeless." Just as she was about to continue her moral lecture, Arthur spoke up from the side at an awkward moment. Ms. Bennett, you may be misunderstanding our Mr. Johnson. Arthur handed her a tablet, which displayed Johnson Group's stock movement for today. A bright red, sharply rising curve pricked Chloe's eyes. 1 minute before you walked in, Johnson Group's subsidiary Voyager Tech successfully launched the world's first holographic interactive system, a technology at least 10 years ahead of the industry. Arthur said, his voice steady and strong. Following this favorable news, Johnson Group's total market value surged by $300 billion within half an hour. Chloe's face drained of color. The fingers clutching her designer handbag whitened from gripping it so hard. Impossible. Her lips moved, but no words came out. He didn't do anything. She had had people tailing Ethan for days, and every report showed Ethan lying at home, eating, sleeping, a complete waste. How could such a waste possibly, between chats and laughs, accomplish an industry-appending feat? Arthur smiled faintly, hiding his deeds and credit. Our Mr. Johnson simply entrusted things to his trusted aides, controlled the big picture, and made sure he lived comfortably. He repeated my original words. Each syllable was like a slap, hard against Chloe's face. She staggered back, staring at me in disbelief. The man she had despised for years as good-for-nothing, who only knew how to indulge himself, had silently orchestrated such a huge scheme, and I, from beginning to end, hadn't even lifted an eyelid. I merely turned my head towards Sophia, who was equally dumbfounded, and said, "Ignore her. Let's continue." Were we just now? Under Chloe's collapsing gaze, Sophia blushed and quietly opened the book. Reciting dietary therapy and health maintenance, first and foremost, is a joyful mood. She stammered. I smiled in satisfaction. That's right. A joyful mood matters more than anything. Chloe left in a daze. I could imagine the tempest inside her. The cognitive upheaval of seeing someone she had looked down on for over a decade suddenly transform into the mastermind behind everything. Such a reversal was enough to make her question her life. And I, the creator of it all, merely changed to a more comfortable position and continued listening to Sophia read. Sophia's look toward me had changed too. If before it had been pity and tenderness, now there was curiosity and admiration. Mr. Ethan, amazing, she said, truly impressed. I smiled and said nothing. It wasn't me who was impressive. It was Arthur and his team of workaholics. I was just a shirker who issued vague orders like tell them to quiet down, or this project is interesting. They, on their own, interpreted my lie-flat philosophy as the highest realm of a ruler governs by inaction. What could I do? I was helpless too. Ding. Detection. Iceberg CEO, supporting character. Chloe feels strong curiosity toward the host. Remorse plus 50. Congratulations, host. You've successfully triggered the supporting character's desire to conquer. The system's voice rang again, this time with a trace of ingratiation. I couldn't be bothered to respond. Ms. Taylor, I said, don't call me Mr. Ethan. It's too formal. Call me Ethan. Sophia's face flushed in an instant, like a ripe apple. If this can't, then give me a special name. I coaxed. It said in the reference materials this would increase the sweetness. Sophia hung her head, fingers twisting the hem of her clothes, murmuring for a long while. Then can I call you Ethan? Fine. I nodded satisfactorily. Then don't call me Miss Taylor either. She summoned her courage and looked up at me. You give me a name too. I looked into her clear eyes and thought for a moment. Then I'll call you Sophie. She nodded hard, her eyes smiling like two crescent moons. The mood was just right when my stomach made an untimely noise. Sophia burst out laughing. Ethan, you're hungry again? She laughed and naturally lifted a berry macaron and brought it to my mouth. I opened my mouth and bit down. So sweet. I couldn't tell whether it was the berry macaron that was sweet or her smile that was sweeter. In the midst of this warm, sweet moment, a discordant voice sounded. A maid hurried in, panic on her face. Mr. Johnson, it's bad. There's a female college student outside with luggage, saying you let her move in. I furrow my brow. Oh, the impoverished female college student, Emma from the system task, had arrived. Ding. Pure college student Emma has arrived. Host, immediately show your dominance and doting. Embrace her and declare, from now on, this is your home. The system began bouncing around in my head again. I sighed. So annoying, interrupting my afternoon tea with Sophie. Arthur, I called. Mr. Johnson, I'm here. Close the door, set the dogs. I always trusted Arthur to handle things. Amid a flurry of chaos and women's screams, the world soon returned to quiet. Sophia looked at me with concern. Ethan, is this okay? It's fine. I closed my eyes. Just a fly. Sophia nodded, half understanding, and didn't ask more. That was what I liked about her. Smart, knowing when to step back, never prying into what I didn't want to say. She simply picked up a handkerchief and gently wiped the pastry crumbs from the corner of my mouth. Her fingertips were cool, with a faint fresh scent. When they accidentally brushed my lips, it felt like a slight electric current. I could feel her hands stiffen, her breathing hiccup. I opened my eyes and met her shy, averting gaze. The atmosphere instantly turned a little ambiguous. Sophie, I said, my voice a little hoarse. She didn't dare look at me. The pastries you made are delicious. As long as you like them. Tomorrow, will you come again? Yes. I smiled. Just then, the ragdoll cat I raise, Snowball, strolled over with elegant feline steps. It went straight to Sophia's feet and nuzzled her ankle with its fluffy head. Sophia let out a delighted ah. What a cute cat. Her name is Snowball, I introduced. Usually so aloof, I didn't expect her to like you so much. Snowball seemed to understand me. She curled up at Sophia's feet and purred contentedly. Sophia carefully reached out and stroked Snowball's back. Snowball blinked in pleasure. She's so well-behaved, Sophia said, stars in her eyes. I have a golden retriever at home called Sunny, just as obedient as Snowball, she said enthusiastically. Next time I'll bring him over so they can meet. A thought suddenly popped into my head. Pets getting together before their owners. This was also a cute point in the reference materials. Nice, that could be arranged. The next few days were blissfully pleasant. I slept until I woke naturally, then lay in the garden waiting for Sophia to come with her lovingly packed lunches and her golden retriever, Sunny. Snowball and Sunny hit it off at once, clinging to each other, rolling and frolicking on the lawn. Sophia and I sat nearby, watching them and chatting. Our relationship quickly warmed in this calm, cozy interaction. I memorized all her offhand preferences, like 3/4 sugar in milk tea and curling her toes when reading. She, in turn, took meticulous care of me when I felt unwell, even learning to give massages to ease my stiff muscles. Whenever her soft little hands pressed on my firm abs, I could feel her cheeks growing warmer. I couldn't help teasing her. Just when she was about to blush herself into the ground, I'd lazily take her hand. Sophie, if you keep touching, something bad will happen. Her face instantly flushed as if it might bleed. That innocent, tender ambiguity was more heart-stirring than any fierce collision. Of course, the system didn't stop. It kept persistently assigning me various tasks. Pregnant little wife Olivia Parker comes begging for reconciliation. Divorced cleaning Aunt Margaret Davis delivers nourishing soup late at night. But Arthur and I easily handle them with our shut the door and let the dog out mantra. Until one day, an unexpected person called me. It was my cheap old father, George, chairman of Johnson Group. You unfilial child, the call opened with a roar. Get your ass to the company. Now, immediately, George's roar didn't stir anything in me. I yawned and asked slowly, What's up? What's up? How dare you ask me that? George raged like an enraged lion. Look at what you've done. The Bennett girl's broken off your engagement. The Miller girl is out there ruining your reputation. Now, even Zhang's daughter Olivia has shown up, saying you led her on and abandoned her. I sent you to the company to learn, but you lie around at home all day. Do you want to bankrupt the Johnson family before you're satisfied? I listened to his accusations and found them a little amusing. Didn't the stock price go up? George choked. That's an accident. You were just lucky. He forced a save face. Anyway, you must come to the company today. The board meeting is about to start. As the heir, you have to attend. With that, he slammed the phone down. I put my phone away and glanced at Sophia beside me, who looked at me with concern. Ethan, your father, seems really angry. It's fine. I patted her hand reassuringly. A bunch of old men having a meeting. Don't worry about it. Ding. Main quest triggered. Attend the Johnson Group board meeting, demonstrate your capability and resolve to the directors, and solidify your position as heir. Quest reward. Remove the extremely weak, penalty, and restore normal mobility. Oh, I raised an eyebrow. That reward was tempting. Although lying down was comfortable, sometimes I wanted to walk myself and hold my beloved Sophie in my own arms. Arthur, Mr. Johnson, your orders. Prepare a car. Take me to the company. Arthur froze. Sophia froze too. They probably didn't expect me, a terminally lazy person, to volunteer to go to the company. Ethan, your health. Sophia said worriedly. I'm fine. I smiled at her. It's time to get some activity. If I didn't move, I was afraid my 8-pack would collapse into one. Half an hour later, Johnson Group headquarters, top floor conference room. I was sitting in a wheelchair, pushed in by Arthur. The long conference table was filled with people. Leading them, of course, was my so-called Father George. To his left sat several company veterans, each with an unfriendly expression. To his right sat Chloe. She had come as a representative of Bennett Corporation to attend a meeting. Seeing me in this disabled state, suppressed whispers broke out around the room. Is this the heir of the Johnson family? He looks like a cripple. I heard he lies at home all day and ignores company affairs. If Johnson Group is handed to him, it's doomed. Chloe's gaze fell on me. Her expression complex, contempt, incomprehension, and a hint of curiosity she hadn't even noticed in herself. Seeing me like this enraged George even more. He slammed the table. Ethan, look at you. I ignored him and told Arthur, bring me my recliner. This chair is too hard and uncomfortable. The conference room instantly fell silent. Everyone stared at me as if I were insane. Demanding a more comfortable recliner at a board meeting that would decide the group's future? This wasn't just being a playboy. It was absurd. George's lips trembled with anger. He pointed at me and could barely speak. At that moment, a sarcastic voice sounded. Mr. Johnson, I think Mr. Ethan is physically unfit and likely incapable of handling the group's responsibilities. For the sake of the company's future, I propose we reconsider the choice of heir. The speaker was a board director with Mediterranean hair, Frederick. As soon as he finished, several people immediately agreed. I second Mr. Carter's proposal. Mr. Ethan is still young. He should rest more. A coup staged against me officially begins. I leaned back in my wheelchair and watched these clowns prance about, almost laughing out loud. How amusing. I don't say a word, and someone is already eager to jump in. It seems my hands-off manager act has stepped on quite a few people's cakes. Facing Frederick's blatant provocation, George's face turns ashen. Although he's angry at me for being useless, the Johnson family's business must never be touched by outsiders. Mr. Carter, Ethan is my only son and the sole heir of the Johnson family. This matter is not for you to meddle in, George says in a low voice. Mr. Johnson, you can't say that. Frederick smiles with unwarranted confidence. We're also thinking of the group's future. Look at Ethan now, let alone managing the company. He probably can't even take care of himself. His gaze crawls maliciously across my wheelchair. I heard Ethan recently caused a huge scandal over a disreputable woman. How can someone like that lead Johnson Group to glory? You. George slams the table in anger. I lift my hand to signal him to calm down. Then I look at the frantic Frederick and speak slowly. Mr. Carter, that is the first sentence I have spoken since entering. All eyes turn to me. Your son lost $30 million in Las Vegas last month, didn't he? Frederick's smile freezes instantly. How do you know? I ignore his shock and continue. The financing you used was from Global Credit Services in the west of the city, at a monthly rate of 30%. To repay that money, you diverted 3 payments from the company's procurement department, totaling $50 million. You think you've done it cleanly, but unfortunately, the accounting firm you hired to cook the books, Harrison and Company, accounting firm, was opened by my driver's brother-in-law. My voice is quiet, but each word falls on Frederick like a hammer. His face drains from flushed to deathly pale, cold sweat trickling from his temples. I didn't. You're slandering me, he shouts, bluffing loudly. Oh, I raise an eyebrow. Do you need me to lay out the chain of evidence one by one? From your bank statements, to your phone recordings with your mistress, to the high-definition surveillance footage of your son at the casino, I have it all. As I speak, I gesture to Arthur. Arthur understands and places a USB drive on the table, pushing it gently forward. The USB slides to the center of the conference table with a crisp sound. The whole conference room falls deathly silent. Frederick looks at the USB as if it's a death talisman. His legs give out, and he slides from his chair, collapsing to the floor. No, don't, he mumbles, his face ashen. I don't look at him again. My gaze sweeps over the other directors who had sided with him. At my stare, they all bow their heads, silent and terrified, not daring to breathe. Finally, my eyes land on Chloe. She is looking at me too, and the usually cold light in her eyes is now filled with shock and horror. She probably couldn't figure out how I, this waste, knew so many secrets and possessed such terrifying power. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, revealing a meaningful smile. Can't understand it? Good, because I've got to cheat. Although this cheat isn't very obedient. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully intimidating the board and initially demonstrating kingly demeanor. Task completion, 50%. Ding. Detected, Iceberg CEO, supporting character, Chloe's toward you plus 100, remorse plus 100. She's beginning to doubt whether her original decision was correct. I ignored the system's chime and said to George, Dad, you can continue the meeting. George stared at me blankly, as if meeting his son for the first time. After a long moment, he found his voice and cleared his throat. Oh, okay. Let's continue the meeting. At that instant, the atmosphere in the conference room was a world apart from before. No one dared to look down on me, the wheelchair-bound waste. The board meeting became my personal show. I hardly spoke, only occasionally making a few small suggestions through Arthur's translation. Mr. Johnson means we should let go of the land in the south of the city. Give it to Bennett Corporation. When you make friends, be generous. Mr. Johnson thinks the new energy project has great prospects. Let Mr. Daniel take it on. Funding won't be an issue. Mr. Johnson says Mr. Carter is getting old and should retire and spend more time with his family. Each suggestion sent chills through the directors present. They realized that this always lazy heir apparent knew everything about the company, as if it were written on a mirror. He wasn't uninterested. He was just too lazy to manage. But once he decided to manage, he only needed to move his lips to turn the whole Johnson Group upside down. When the meeting ended, the directors who had earlier looked at me with contempt now regarded me with awe. George was so moved he burst into tears, grabbing my hand and repeating, Good son. Good son. I wasn't wrong about you. I pulled my hand away in disgust. Don't touch me. My body is so weak even a touch tires me out. Ding. Main task. Intimidate the board completed successfully. Reward issued. Remove extremely weak penalty. A warm current spread through my body. The drained strength returned. I stood up from the wheelchair, stretched, and loosened my joints. My bones cracked and popped. The long-missed feeling of controlling my own body was wonderful. Everyone in the conference room was stunned by my sudden movement. Why, your legs? George pointed at me, stuttering. Oh, I was a bit unwell for a while. I'm fine now, I said casually. Yeah, right? Those 4 words were written all over their faces. But no one dared to ask. In their eyes, my heir apparent had become more mysterious and unfathomable than ever. I ignored everyone's shock and walked straight to the door. Passing Chloe, I stopped. She looked up, her eyes complex as they met mine. Regret it, I asked quietly, my voice only for the two of us. Her body trembled ever so slightly. I smiled, said nothing more, and walked away, leaving her standing alone, her face deathly pale. The first thing I did after leaving the conference room was call Sophia. Sophie, I'll pick you up after work. On the other end came her surprised voice. Ethan, are you feeling better? I'm better. I leaned against the car window, watching the busy traffic outside, an involuntary smile tugging at my lips. What do you want to eat tonight? I'll cook for you myself. Ding. System detects host is lavishing attention on a non-mission target. Severe warning. Shut up, I told the system in my head. I'm happy to, I said to myself. I drove a low-key black Bentley and pulled up in front of Maple Leaf Bistro. When Sophia came out of work, she saw me at once. She was wearing a pale teal uniform, a little tired, but the moment she saw me, her eyes lit up like they were studded with stars. Ethan, she hurried over, joy uncontained on her face. I got out and opened the passenger door for her. Get in, my little chef. Tonight, I'll take care of you. Sophia blushed as she sat down, buckled her seatbelt, then sneaked a sidelong look at me. You're really better? She asked. Of course. I started the engine and deliberately flexed my arm muscles for show. See? 8-pack abs, not a single one missing. Sophia's face reddened more. She muttered quietly, Pervert. I laughed heartily. On the way home we chatted, the mood light and pleasant. I told her I planned to convert the huge swimming pool at the house into a temperature-controlled indoor hot spring. From now on, whenever you want to soak in a hot spring, you can. She listened with longing in her eyes. I'm also going to clear a small patch in the back garden to plant the flowers and plants you like. Really? She asked, surprised. Of course. I turned to her, my gaze serious. Sophie, I want to give you all the best things. The air in the car seemed to heat up because of that sentence. Sophia's heart raced. She could feel I wasn't joking. Each of my promises sketched a beautiful blueprint for their future. Back at the villa, I made good on my promise and cooked myself. My cooking skills were something I had practiced painstakingly before the transmigration to win over a senior. Still not at chef level, but more than enough for a few home-style dishes. Tomatoes, scrambled eggs, cola chicken wings, steamed sea bass, and a steaming pot of corn and pork rib soup. When the dishes were set on the table, Sophia's eyes widened. Ethan, you made all this? Want to try? I handed her a pair of chopsticks. She carefully picked up a chicken wing and put it in her mouth. Her eyes suddenly opened wide. Delicious. So good. Seeing her satisfied expression filled me with a sense of accomplishment. Cooking for the woman I love turned out to be such a happy thing. We ate this meal especially warmly. After dinner, we strolled in the garden. Snowball and Sunny chased and played at our feet. Moonlight poured over us like water. Ethan, Sophia suddenly stopped and looked up at me. Thank you. For what? Thank you for being so good to me. Her voice was soft with a barely noticeable tremor. I reached out and gently stroked her cheek. Silly, I should be thanking you. Thank you for appearing in my world, like a beam of light, illuminating the life I once only wanted to lie flat in. My words seemed to touch the softest part of her heart. Her eyes slowly reddened. I lowered my head and kissed her gently. Her lips were as soft as I'd imagined, carrying the sweet scent of berry macarons. At first, she was a little awkward and nervous, but quickly, under my guidance, she responded passionately. Just as we were kissing, unwilling to part, a suppressed, sobbing female voice shattered the moment. Ethan, you all. I turned my head. Under the nearby trees stood a woman. It was Chloe. I didn't know when she had come or how long she had been standing there. Right now, she was looking at us with a broken, desperate expression I had never seen before. Her usually cold, proud face was streaked with tears. Chloe's appearance was like a bucket of cold water, dousing all the romance. Sophia, startled, hurriedly wriggled out of my arms, her face flushing as if it might bleed, nervously tidying her clothes. I remained calm, even a little annoyed. Of all times to show up. I put my arm around Sophia's shoulders, shielding her, then looked coldly at Chloe. Ms. Bennett, trespassing isn't a good habit. There was no warmth in my voice. Chloe swayed as if she might collapse at any moment. Watching me hold Sophia, the light in her eyes dimmed bit by bit. I just wanted to ask you something, she said hoarsely, her voice thick with nasal timbre. Ask, I replied curtly. Did you never love me? She asked, the question that circled in her heart for a long time. I felt as if I'd heard the greatest joke. Ms. Bennett, do you have some misunderstanding about me? I asked back. From beginning to end, what we had was just an arranged marriage between families, a transaction. Talk about love? Don't you find that ridiculous? Ridiculous? Chloe gave a tragic laugh, and tears welled up again. Yes, ridiculous. I always thought you loved me, so much you were helpless, that you'd do anything for me. So I comfortably accepted your kindness, and felt justified in looking down on your lack of ambition. I thought no matter how I treated you, you'd wait for me. Until that day, at the board meeting, until just now, I realized I was wrong, absurdly wrong. She spoke and cried, like a child abandoned by the whole world. It turns out you weren't incapable of loving me. You were just disdainful. It turns out your gentleness, your kindness, were never meant for me. Her gaze fell on Sophia beside us, full of jealousy and unwillingness to accept it. Why her? What does she have that's better than me? I hadn't answered when Sophia gently tugged at my coat. She leaned forward from my embrace, looked at Chloe earnestly, and said, Ms. Bennett, you're not wrong. You're excellent, beautiful, 10,000 times better than me. It's just that feelings don't come with reasons, and there's no better or worse. He likes me. That's all there is to it. Sophia's words were like the sharpest blade, piercing precisely into Chloe's heart. Of course, he likes her. That's all. Those 6 words shattered all her pride and illusions. She couldn't hold herself up anymore, covered her face, crouched on the ground, and cried out in pain. Her sobs were desperate and sorrowful, carrying far in the quiet night. The servants gathered to watch couldn't help showing sympathetic expressions. The once untouchable ice-cold CO now wept helplessly like a cast-off woman in front of a rival. It truly broke the hearts of those who heard it and brought tears to the eyes of those who saw it. Everyone except me. I just found it noisy. Arthur, I called, see them out. Saying that, I put my arm around Sophia and walked back to the villa, leaving that heart-rending crying behind us. Some people only learn to cherish things after they've lost them. Unfortunately, what I, Ethan, give away is never taken back, whether it's feelings or opportunities. Chloe's melodrama didn't affect Sophia or me. Back in the room, I looked at Sophia's still flushed cheeks and couldn't help teasing her. That was impressive just now, my Sophie. Sophia bashfully punched me. You talk. It's all your fault. What is my fault? Your fault. For attracting all the attention. I didn't, I said, taking her hand and kissing it. I only attract you, my little butterfly. The greasy romantic line coming from my mouth made her ears redden. Ethan. She suddenly looked at me seriously. From now on, no matter what happens, I will believe you. She spoke each word deliberately. I will believe you unconditionally. Something stirred in me. I knew this was her promise to me. Good. I held her tightly. Me too. Then we did nothing but hold each other and sleep. Yet our hearts felt closer than ever. The next morning I woke up refreshed. Sophia was still asleep in my arms like a well-behaved cat. I didn't wake her. I slipped out quietly to make her a loving breakfast. Just as I reached the downstairs, I saw Arthur waiting there with a serious face. Mr. Johnson, there's been an incident. Tell me. Luna, and that college girl Emma who came to cause trouble before, have joined with a dozen media outlets and are holding a press conference under our company building. Arthur handed me a tablet. They're accusing you of toying with people's feelings, of deserting them after starting things, and they've produced a lot of so-called evidence. I took the tablet. On the screen, Luna sobbed with mascara running, and the college girl looked righteously indignant. They were showing journalists some transfer records, a few ambiguous chat screenshots, and even several awkwardly angled photos that looked like intimate shots of me with them. Public opinion erupted at once. The hashtag Ethan Century Scumbag hashtag quickly shot to #1 on trending. They've also contacted several of our company's partners, trying to incite them to pull their investments, Arthur added. Bennett Corporation has even put out a statement saying they will reassess their cooperation with us. This was clearly a premeditated strike aimed at me and Johnson Group. Chloe's hand was likely behind it. When love turns to hate, a woman can be terrifying. Mr. Johnson, what should we do now? Arthur asked. The PR team is almost overwhelmed. I smiled and tossed the tablet aside. Why panic? Let them make a fuss. The bigger, the better. Arthur was stunned. Mr. Johnson, you mean? Add fuel to the fire. I instructed. Send out all those cease and desist letters our legal department has been saving. Sue them until they're ruined. Also, notify everyone that Johnson Group will hold a live-streamed press conference across all platforms today. I looked up, glanced at Sophia's room upstairs, and a gentle smile tugged at my lips. At the press conference, I'm going to announce something very important. The news that Johnson Group was holding a live press conference detonated across the internet like a bomb. Everyone wanted to know how this newly emerged heir would respond to the tidal wave of negative public opinion. Would he bow his head and apologize, or strike back forcefully? The moment the live stream started, the online viewers surged past 10 million and kept climbing fast. The comment feed was full of everything imaginable. Is the scumbag finally going to respond? Waiting for Ethan's apology. Give the ladies their justice. Don't be naive. How would a capitalist apologize? He's definitely here to whitewash this. At 3 p.m, the press conference began on time. I wore a crisp suit and walked up to the podium alone. No wheelchair, no Arthur supporting me. My steps were steady, my posture erect, and I appeared before everyone. The venue's camera flashes bloomed into a sea of light. Good afternoon, members of the press, viewers, I said to the camera with a composed smile. I know you're here today to hear my explanation. But I'm sorry, there's nothing to explain. My words caused an uproar. No explanation? What kind of move is that? Giving up? As for those so-called evidence, my legal team will make the most professional judgment on their authenticity. We will not let a single person who spreads rumors and defames me and Johnson Group go unpunished. Today, I'm holding this press conference for only one thing. I paused, my gaze softening indescribably. I want to introduce someone to the whole world. Saying that, I reached toward the side of the stage. Under the eyes of tens of millions online, Sophia stepped out from backstage in a pure white dress, a little nervous. She looked like a fairy who had accidentally wandered into the mortal world. Pure, beautiful, untouched by dust. When she reached my side and placed her small hand into mine, the whole world seemed to fall silent. I took her hand and led her to the front of the stage, into every camera's view. Then I picked up the microphone and, in a solemn and deeply affectionate tone like never before, announced to the world, her name is Sophia. I, Ethan, want to spend my life protecting her. She is also my future wife. The instant the words fell, the live stream exploded. The comment feed went insane. Holy shit. Holy shit. What kind of divine plot is this? A public announcement. This girl is so pretty. Her presence is amazing. She's the real heiress heroine. Too sweet. Too doting. What a viral announcement moment. I'm dead. So all that before was fake? I knew it. No man that handsome would go for those tacky bitches. Hashtag Ethan announced today. Hashtag divine love. Hashtag you two should get married now. Hashtag public opinion completely reversed in that moment. Those so-called smoking gun pieces of evidence were utterly undermined by my most high-profile, most romantic announcement, reduced to a joke. I looked at Sophia beside me, moved to tears by my words, and lowered my head to plant a gentle kiss on her forehead. To hell with the system quests. To hell with the other female leads. In my world, from beginning to end, there would only ever be you as the heroine. The effect of the press conference exceeded everyone's expectations. The divine love between Sophia and me became the hottest topic on the entire internet. The stock price of Johnson Group soared again, hitting a record high. The women who tried to smear me became like rats in the street, everyone calling to beat them. Luna and that college student Emma's social accounts were trashed by netizens, and the legal letters they received piled up into a small mountain. Their fate was already predictable. As for Chloe, after the press conference, she completely disappeared from the public eye. I heard she resigned as president of Bennett Corporation and went abroad alone. She left without telling anyone. None of this had anything to do with me anymore. All my thoughts were on my Sophie. I kept my promise, converting the swimming pool into a hot spring and opening a private greenhouse for her in the back garden. We did everything like ordinary couples, cooking together, taking walks together, curling up on the sofa to watch old movies. I, who used to be a master of lying flat, had now become a wife-adoring maniac. I loved it. The system finally gave up as well. It left one last sentence in my head. All right, you're impressive. Then it disappeared completely. The world at last was utterly quiet. Half a year later, on a private island in the Maldives, I proposed to Sophia. No grand ceremony, no crowds of guests. Just the two of us and the starlit sky. I dropped to one knee and slid a ring I had designed myself on her finger. Sophie, marry me. She cried and laughed as she nodded hard. I do. I held her to my chest and felt like I owned the whole world. It turned out the real wish fulfillment story isn't about slapping people's faces or how much money you make. It's about washing away the glamour and returning to the basics. To lie beside the one you love, watching sunrises and sunsets, the clouds roll and part. That is the ultimate meaning of life. As for the wedding night, of course that means making up in double for everything missed earlier because of poor health. After all, I have 8 abs of V-line and can last half an hour. Sophie, you better be ready. George, I've got good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? I put down my paintbrush and looked at my friend Frank. He stood at the studio door with a mysterious air, his face a mix of nervousness and excitement. Let's start with the bad news. After all, I've gotten used to it these past 3 years. Your painting, Eternity, just sold for a sky-high price. Over $6 million. I frowned. How is that bad news? Frank chuckled. Because it's actually part of the good news. The bad news is, buddy, you might need to see a psychiatrist. What do you mean? A woman who looks exactly like Mary showed up at your art exhibition. I almost thought I was seeing a ghost. The paintbrush slipped from my hand and fell to the floor, splattering paint across the unfinished canvas. Mary, my late wife, died 3 years ago after accidentally falling off a cliff. I watched with my own eyes as her body was pulled from the water. In that moment, my world completely collapsed. Stop joking around, Frank. Why would I lie to you? She even left this. Frank handed me a note with an address and a time written on it. My hand trembled slightly. The handwriting was exactly the same as Mary's. That night, I waited until midnight at the designated cafe. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar figure appeared at the door. Mary? No, it couldn't be her. But every gesture of that woman, from the tips of her hair to her fingertips, was a shadow of Mary. George, it's been a long time. She sat across from me, and the familiar voice nearly made my heart stop. Who are you? I struggled to remain calm. I'm Mary, your wife. She smiled and reached out her hand. There was a scar on her palm, the mark Mary got when she accidentally cut herself on glass at 15. Impossible. Mary is already dead. She laughed softly. That was just an accident. I fell off the cliff and was saved by a reclusive old doctor. I lost my memory from the injuries and only recently remembered everything. As she spoke, tears began to fall with an expression I knew all too well, the look Mary wore whenever she felt wronged. I know it's hard to believe, but I really am Mary. I couldn't believe my eyes. The shade of lipstick Mary loved most, the faint little mole beneath her left ear, the unconscious habit of rubbing her ring while speaking. Everything was so familiar. Are you really Mary? She nodded and took a small box out of her bag. This is the proof. Inside the box was the first piece of jewelry Mary ever designed. A sapphire ring, the only one of its kind, never mass-produced. I brought it with me that day because I wanted to surprise you. I suddenly stood up and pulled her into my arms. 3 years of longing surged over me like a tide. I held her tightly, afraid that if I let go, she would disappear again. On the way home, she told me about her experiences over the past 3 years. She was rescued by an old doctor in the mountains, lost her memory due to a severe head injury, and lived in a remote mountain village for more than 2 years. It wasn't until she happened to see a poster for my art exhibition that her memory gradually returned. The next day, I took her to see Frank. "Oh my God, it really is you, Mary." Frank stared in astonishment, eyes wide. "Frank, it's been a long time." She greeted him with a smile, exactly as I remembered. Frank pulled me aside and whispered, "Man, this is unbelievable, but I really believe it's her. Who else but Mary could call me by my childhood nickname so accurately? That was something only the two of you knew." A week later, Mary officially returned. We held a small welcome party for her. Her mother was so overwhelmed that she fainted, and when she woke up, she clung to her daughter and refused to let go. But that night, I noticed the first sign that something was off. Mary never ate mangoes because she was severely allergic. Yet the returned Mary absent-mindedly tasted a mango dessert and was perfectly fine. "Aren't you allergic to mangoes?" I asked. She paused for a moment, then quickly laughed and said, "Oh, that old Chinese doctor cured my allergy. He's really amazing." I nodded, but in my heart, I marked the first question mark. Is this really my wife? A month passed quickly, and Mary blended perfectly into our lives. She knew the location of every item in the house, remembered our shared memories, and could even accurately name friends we hadn't contacted in years. But those subtle feelings of discord kept growing. For example, the real Mary liked to listen to classical music, especially Debussy, while designing jewelry. But she would always unconsciously hum along to pop songs. Mary always habitually used her left hand to hold chopsticks, even though she knew it was wrong. She just couldn't change. But she was a standard right-handed user. The most obvious difference appeared that night when I accidentally caught her smoking in the bedroom. The real Mary hated the smell of smoke. Even when I came home from social events with a faint scent of cigarettes, she would frown. "When did you start smoking?" I stood at the doorway, my voice soft. She was clearly startled, hastily snuffing out the cigarette. This is a herbal cigarette for treating insomnia, prescribed by an old Chinese doctor." I nodded, not pressing further, but the doubts in my heart only grew deeper. The next day, I went to find Frank. "Help me check if, in the past 3 years, plastic surgery technology has advanced enough to achieve this level." Frank's eyes widened. "You mean, she's not Mary?" "I'm not sure, but there are always some things that don't add up." 2 days later, Frank brought news. High-end plastic surgery can make faces look similar, but it can't replicate the exact placement of scars or moles. And there's a limit to how well someone can imitate a voice. What if it was a twin? Frank shook his head. "Mary is an only child. We all know that." I decided not to show my feelings for now and to keep observing. A week later, Mary's mother came to my house with astonishing news. "George, Mary is going to have a baby," my mother-in-law told me excitedly. I stood there stunned. Before we got married, Mary had been diagnosed with uterine hypoplasia. The doctor had made it clear she could never get pregnant. This was our shared secret. Not even my mother-in-law knew. How do you know that?" I managed to ask. "Mary told me this morning. She said she already had a checkup. It's been 2 months. My mother-in-law happily grabbed my hand. "It's a blessing from above. Mary survived death, and now she can bring us new life." My heart sank to the bottom. This absolutely could not be Mary. That night, I dug out the hospital's diagnosis certificate in my study, which clearly stated the condition of Mary's uterus. But when I wanted to talk to Mary about it, I found her in the bedroom, excitedly discussing the decoration of the nursery with my mother-in-law. "Mary, could you come here for a moment?" I called her calmly. She followed me into the study, still wearing a blissful smile on her face. "Did you forget about this?" I handed her the diagnosis certificate. She took it and glanced at it, her face instantly turning pale. "George, I can explain." "Explain what?" "Explain that you're not Mary at all." Mother-in-law heard the commotion and walked in. "What's going on with you two?" "Mom, take a look at this." I handed her the proof. My mother-in-law read it, then looked at Mary in astonishment. "What's going on?" "Mary, you can't have children." "Of course she can," I sneered, "because she's not Mary at all." My mother-in-law's face changed dramatically. "What nonsense are you talking about?" I can explain. She hurriedly grabbed my mother-in-law's hand. That old Chinese doctor not only saved my life, but also cured my uterine problem. It's a miracle, truly. My mother-in-law looked at me, then at her, hesitating. George, you're being too paranoid. My mother-in-law finally took her daughter's side. Mary has come back with great difficulty. You should cherish her, not doubt her. Yes, George, I know this is hard to accept, but miracles do happen. Tears welled up in her eyes. Haven't we always wanted a child? Now we can finally have our own baby. I looked at her face, identical to Mary's, yet I became more certain in my heart. This woman was not my wife. All right, I believe you. I smiled, deciding to go along with their story for now. Let's wait together for this miracle to happen. That night, I secretly contacted a private detective. My mother-in-law gladly accepted her daughter's explanation, even suggesting she move in with us to take care of Mary during her pregnancy. Outwardly, I agreed, but inside I grew even more wary. This was no coincidence. There had to be some kind of plot. Mom, haven't you always lived in Haicheng? Won't it be hard to get used to living here? I probed cautiously. For my grandson, I'm willing to endure any inconvenience, my mother-in-law said firmly. I noticed a fleeting unnatural expression on Mary's face. Could the truth be connected to my mother-in-law? On the third day after my mother-in-law moved in, I discovered more suspicious details. For example, the real Mary never drank coffee, but she and my mother-in-law often enjoyed it together. Also, Mary's favorite movie was Roman Holiday, but she claimed to prefer Titanic. The strangest thing is, Mary used to despise her cousin Tom when she was alive, but now he visits frequently and chats and laughs with Mary as if they're old friends. I told Frank about these discoveries. Buddy, things are getting more and more suspicious, Frank frowned. Are you sure you want to keep going like this? Why not just expose her directly? It's not the right time yet. I want to find out what they're really after. The private detective's investigation also made progress. The so-called old Chinese doctor who had saved Mary did not exist at all, and Mary's whereabouts over the past 3 years were completely untraceable. More importantly, the private detective uncovered a shocking fact during the investigation. Mary's cousin Tom was deeply in debt from gambling, and the painting Eternity under my name, worth over $6 million, was his only hope for quick cash. They're after your painting, the private detective asserted, and this fake Mary is likely a professional identity fraudster, hired to win your trust. I took a deep breath and decided to take the initiative. That afternoon, I pretended to go out, but secretly returned home and hid in the study. Sure enough, Mary and her cousin Tom were whispering to each other in the living room. It's taking too long, Tom said irritably. How much longer until he sells the painting? Don't worry, she soothed him. I'm already pregnant, and now he completely believes I'm Mary. In a little while, I'll say I want to move to a better neighborhood for the sake of the baby, and then we'll naturally need to sell the painting to raise money. You're really pregnant? That wasn't part of the plan. It was an accident, but it works to our advantage. George wants a child so badly. Does Annie know the truth? She only knows we're trying to scam money, not the specific plan. But she hates George, thinks he caused her daughter's death, so she's more than happy to help. I clenched my fists. So my mother-in-law had always believed that Mary's accident was somehow my fault. In fact, we did argue over something trivial that day, and Mary stormed out in anger. I didn't try to stop her. But I never imagined it would be the last time I'd see her. You don't actually have feelings for George, do you? Tom suddenly asked. She was silent for a moment. It's just part of the job. Besides, I owe you, and I won't go back on my word. Good then. Don't forget how we're splitting the money once we get it. Their conversation confirmed my suspicions. This was all an elaborate scheme, with my eternity as the target. In the days that followed, I pretended everything was normal while secretly making preparations. I contacted the police, arranged for evidence-gathering equipment, and found the last piece Mary had left before she died, a silver necklace that had never been made public, engraved with an anniversary date only the two of us knew. 2 weeks later, my art exhibition was held as scheduled. As planned, Mary brought up the idea of moving, hinting that I could sell Eternity. I pretended to agree and said I would auction the painting on the last day of the exhibition. This is a surprise I prepared for you, I said on the eve of the exhibition, taking out a delicate box. To celebrate the new life we're about to begin. She opened the box in surprise, and inside was the silver necklace. It's beautiful, thank you. She smiled as she prepared to put it on. Wait, I stopped her. Aren't you going to look at the engraving on the back? She turned the necklace over, and her face suddenly went pale. What's wrong? Don't you like it? I asked, feigning ignorance. No, I really like it. It's just, I'm a bit moved. She forced a smile, but didn't know how to explain that she couldn't recognize the significance of that date. See you tomorrow. Get some good rest, and don't forget to wear this necklace. I kissed her forehead and whispered in her ear, after all, this is your final design. Her body visibly stiffened for a moment, but she kept smiling. Of course, I cherish it very much. Tomorrow, the truth will come to light. On the day of the exhibition, the place was packed with people. My painting, Eternity, was displayed in the most prominent spot, right next to the last batch of jewelry designs Mary had created before her death. Mary held my arm, flawlessly playing the role of my wife as always. She had even gone out of her way to wear Mary's favorite white dress and the silver necklace I had given her last night. My mother-in-law and Tom were there too. The three of them exchanged glances from time to time, clearly waiting for the perfect moment. Frank appeared as planned, pretending to be extremely interested in Eternity and asking me about the auction details. The auction will begin promptly at 4 in the afternoon, I replied with a smile. This painting means a great deal to me, and I hope it finds someone who truly appreciates it. Mary immediately chimed in. Yes, although it's hard to part with it, this is a necessary decision for our future. I noticed she glanced at Tom, who gave a barely perceptible nod. At 3:30 in the afternoon, the projector in the center of the exhibition hall lit up. This was the special segment I had arranged. Ladies and gentlemen, I stood in front of Eternity. Before the auction begins, I'd like to share a little story about this painting. Mary's photo appeared on the projection screen, a group picture from her last birthday party before she passed away. 3 years ago, my wife Mary died in an accident. I created this painting, Eternity, in her memory. The woman in the painting has her back to the viewer, forever gazing into the distance, symbolizing a longing I can never reach. A soft sigh rippled through the crowd. Mary stood beside me, matching my words with a sorrowful expression. However, a month ago, a miracle happened. I turned to look at Mary. My wife came back. The whole room erupted in astonishment, and many people curiously sized up Mary. This is my wife, Mary. I took her hand and stepped forward. Back from the dead, it's truly the greatest blessing heaven could have given me. She smiled and nodded to everyone, while my mother-in-law and Tom stood by with smug expressions. However, my tone suddenly shifted. Amidst my joy, a question arose. Is she really Mary? The entire room fell silent. Mary's hand trembled slightly in my palm. So, I did some investigating. The projector switched to a set of comparison photos. On the left was the real Mary. On the right was a photo of her. They look exactly the same, don't they? But I clicked the remote, and the photo was enlarged, the details highlighted. The position of the piercing on the left ear was slightly different, the arch of the eyebrows subtly varied, and the fine lines at the corners of the eyes ran in different directions. These are details that even professional plastic surgery cannot fully replicate. Mary tried to pull her hand away, but I held on tightly. My mother-in-law and Tom also began to grow anxious, glancing toward the exit. More importantly, the real Mary has a feature that cannot be copied. I turned to Mary. The necklace I gave you last night has a date engraved on the back. Can you tell everyone what that date is? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. That was the due date of our first child, the one we lost. I spoke softly, my voice trembling with emotion. Mary designed this necklace to commemorate the baby we never got to meet. The date was our secret, only Mary and I knew. The room fell utterly silent. Mary turned deathly pale, my mother-in-law's eyes widened, and Tom had already started edging toward the door. What surprised me even more, I continued, was that the real Mary could never get pregnant due to an underdeveloped uterus. Yet this, Mary claims she's already 2 months along. I let go of her hand and took a step back. So, who are you really? A flicker of despair flashed in Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. I am Mary, it's just that old Chinese doctor. The non-existent old Chinese doctor, right? I sneered. Just like the non-existent amnesia, the non-existent miraculous recovery. I turned toward the projection screen. Let's see the truth. The screen played the secretly recorded video of her conversation with Tom, their discussion on how to swindle eternity, clearly audible. This isn't. She tried to explain, but my mother-in-law had already rushed forward. Who are you really? My mother-in-law screamed. You're not my daughter? Auntie, stop pretending, I said calmly. You know she's not Mary. You just wanted to get back at me, didn't you? My mother-in-law's face turned pale. I didn't know she was going to impersonate Mary. Tom just said he needed help to scam some money. Police. Don't move. Several plainclothes officers emerged from the crowd, blocking Tom as he tried to escape. Amid the chaos, Mary took the opportunity to shove me aside and run toward the exit. I chased after her and caught up in the parking lot. Tell me, who are you really? She finally stopped, turned to face me, tears welling in her eyes. My name is Luna. I'm an actress. Tom found me and said if I helped trick you out of a painting, he'd give me $1 million. I needed the money for my sister's medical treatment. Why did they choose me? Why Mary? She shook her head. I don't know. They gave me a lot of information, photos, videos, even your chat logs. I was just following the script. The police arrived and took her away. I stood where I was, gazing at the distant sky, my heart a tumult of emotions. Back in the exhibition hall, the crowd had already dispersed, leaving only Frank and a few police officers. It's all been cleared up, Frank walked over. Tom owed money to loan sharks and was desperate. Your mother-in-law always resented you for not saving Mary, so she helped them plan the whole thing. I walked up to eternity, gently caressing the back of the woman in the painting. Mary, I can finally give you an answer. The police left with the evidence. Frank patted me on the shoulder. What do you plan to do next? I took a deep breath. Prepare for the final painting. What will it be called? The Pursuit, I said softly. This time, I'll paint her face, not just her back. After the case was solved, my life seemed to return to where it was 3 years ago. Eternity was temporarily held by the court as crucial evidence. Tom and Luna were arrested for fraud, and my mother-in-law was investigated as an accomplice. The prosecution wants you to testify in court, the officer called to inform me. The trial is scheduled for early next month. I agreed, though I was utterly exhausted inside. After exposing the deception, I thought I would feel the thrill of revenge, but what I felt instead was a profound emptiness. Those days spent with Mary that month had allowed me to feel a trace of warmth in life again, even if that warmth was born of lies. Frank often came to see me, worried I might fall into despair once more. I told him not to worry, that I was working on a new piece, The Pursuit. Are you really going to paint Mary's face from the front? Frank asked curiously. For the past 3 years, you've always refused to do that. It's time, I replied. We can't live in the past forever. I moved out of the apartment I had shared with Mary and returned to the old house in the suburbs, the place where the real Mary and I had first made our home. The dust-laden memories in the house brought me both pain and comfort. Mary's studio remained just as she had left it, design sketches scattered across the table, unfinished jewelry drafts pinned to the drawing board. One afternoon, while sorting through Mary's belongings, I discovered an encrypted external hard drive. After several attempts, I finally unlocked it using our wedding anniversary as the password. Inside were backups of Mary's design works, along with some personal photos and videos. One folder in particular caught my attention. Inside a folder named Plan was a series of jewelry design sketches, labeled George's Birthday Special Project. It was then I remembered that, in the months before Mary passed away, she often spoke mysteriously about giving me an unparalleled birthday surprise. Leafing through these design drafts, I couldn't help but be moved to tears. Mary had planned to design a jewelry collection inspired by my paintings over the years, with each piece corresponding to a representative work from my artistic career. The last page was a sketch of a ring, with a dark red stone set in the center, its edges adorned with tiny diamonds, closely resembling the sunrise in my early work, Dawn. This is blood amber? I examined the notes carefully, confirming the name of this rare gemstone. Mary's designs had always been bold, but blood amber is extremely rare in the Chinese market, almost impossible to acquire. How did she obtain such a material? As I continued searching, I found a series of email correspondence screenshots. Mary had actually contacted a gemstone dealer in Myanmar, commissioning the blood amber specifically for this ring. The last email showed that the gem had already been shipped, but the date was exactly 1 week before Mary's death. I immediately called Frank, Help me check if there was a package sent from Myanmar 3 years ago, addressed to Mary. 2 days later, Frank brought news. The package did exist, but since no one signed for it, it was returned. However, according to the shipping records, it was resent a month ago, this time addressed to you. What? I was completely confused. I haven't received any package. Check your old apartment? Frank suggested. Back at my old apartment, the manager told me there was indeed a package, but it had been signed for by Mary. She said it was a surprise for you, so she didn't notify you, the manager explained. This meant Luna had taken the blood amber. I rushed to the detention center and requested to see Luna. Separated by glass, she looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but still wore that face so similar to Mary's. What are you doing here? She asked coldly. A month ago, you signed for a package from Myanmar. There was a blood amber inside. I want to know where it is. She looked surprised. How did you know? Tom asked me to sign for it. He said it was some precious gem. He took it. My heart sank. Tom was deep in gambling debt. A precious blood amber would be a windfall for him. He had probably sold it long ago. That blood amber is very important to me, I said softly. It was the last gift my wife left me. Luna was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, maybe it's not that bad. Tom said the stone has flaws, its value is greatly reduced, and he hasn't found a suitable buyer yet. Hope was rekindled. If Tom hadn't sold the blood amber yet, maybe there was still a chance to get it back. Do you know where he might hide it? Luna hesitated for a moment. He has a safe deposit box in a self-storage facility on the east side of the city. After getting the address, I immediately contacted the officer in charge of the case and explained the situation. Since Tom was involved in a large sum of money, the police quickly approved the search request. Mr. George, we've found the safe deposit box, the officer said over the phone. Inside, we did find the blood amber you described, as well as some other evidence. A few hours later, I retrieved the blood amber at the police station. It was even more beautiful than I had imagined. Within the dark red core, wisps of mist seemed to swirl, shifting strangely under the light. This was the birthday gift Mary had so carefully chosen for me, waiting for 3 years. Back home, I carefully placed the blood amber beside the canvas of the pursuit. The painting was already more than half finished, Mary's face emerging from the blur into clarity, yet it still felt like something was missing. Watching the blood amber glimmer faintly under the light, I suddenly understood how I should complete the painting. The creation of the pursuit entered its final stage. I decided to break convention and incorporate the blood amber into the artwork. This would not only be a portrait, but a hybrid piece that fused painting with the art of jewelry. Are you sure you want to do this? Frank frowned. That blood amber is priceless. That's exactly why, I said firmly. Mary chose it for me. She wanted to inspire an unparalleled masterpiece. I will fulfill her wish. For 2 whole weeks, I worked day and night, neglecting sleep and food. I cut the blood amber into thin slices and inlaid them at the spot of Mary's eyes on the canvas, making her gaze truly come alive. I used a special technique to blend the surrounding paint, creating a harmonious transition with the gemstone. From certain angles, the entire painting seemed to be imbued with life, and Mary's expression would shift depending on where the viewer stood. On the day I finished the piece, Frank brought news. Luna had been sentenced to 3 years in prison, but due to her good attitude in confessing, she might serve only 1.5 years. Tom, involved in multiple fraud cases, was sentenced to 7 years. My mother-in-law, as an accomplice, received a suspended sentence. The case is finally over, Frank said. Are you planning to exhibit your painting? Yes. Next month there will be a solo exhibition at the National Art Museum, and The Pursuit will be the grand finale. The curator couldn't stop praising this piece, believing it represents the innovative direction of contemporary art and marks the pinnacle of my career. Indeed, this painting, which incorporates Mary's jewelry design concepts, is in some sense a creation we made together. On the eve of the exhibition, I checked the arrangement in the gallery alone one last time, making sure every piece was perfectly lit and positioned. When I reached The Pursuit, I couldn't help but stop and gaze at it. Mary's face was vividly lifelike, her eyes inlaid with blood amber gleaming under the spotlight, as if she were smiling at me. For the first time in 3 years, I faced her directly, no longer painting only her back. Mr. George, a stranger's voice called from behind. Sorry to disturb you, but the gallery has been cleared. He turned around to see a young woman dressed in the museum's staff uniform. And you are? I'm the new curator, responsible for security in your exhibition area, she explained with a smile. I really like your work, especially this piece, The Pursuit. Thank you. I nodded. I'll be leaving soon. She didn't leave, but continued to gaze at the painting. That red gem is beautiful, almost as if it's alive. It's blood amber, I explained, a very rare gemstone. I know, she said softly, top-grade blood amber from Myanmar, containing plant fossils, extremely rare. I looked at her in surprise. You know a lot about jewelry? She smiled. I studied jewelry design. I'm just working part-time here. For some reason, Mary suddenly came to mind. She, too, had an almost obsessive passion for and expertise in gemstones. If you don't mind me asking, who is the woman in this painting? She asked. My wife, I replied. She passed away 3 years ago. She was a jewelry designer. I'm very sorry, she said sincerely, then gestured toward the blood amber. This gem must mean a great deal to you. It was the last birthday gift she chose for me before she died, but I only found it recently. She nodded thoughtfully. Setting it into her portrait is the best way to remember her. For some reason, talking with this unfamiliar woman brought me a strange sense of calm. Perhaps it was her love for jewelry that reminded me of Mary. Sorry, I have to continue my rounds. She glanced at her watch. See you tomorrow, Mr. George. See you tomorrow, I replied, watching her leave. On the way home, I felt an unusual peace. The completion of The Pursuit seemed to mark the end of my search for Mary as well. Not forgetting, but remembering her forever in another way. The next day, the exhibition's opening ceremony attracted numerous figures from the art world and the media. The Pursuit undoubtedly became the center of attention, with people marveling at this innovative form of artistic expression. Amid the crowd, I noticed that curator standing aside, watching as well. Sunlight streamed through the skylight of the gallery, falling upon her, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw Mary's shadow. No, I shook my head, warning myself not to be deceived by mere resemblance. There would never be another Mary in this world, just as there would never be another unique blood amber. After the exhibition, The Pursuit was purchased by an anonymous collector for an astronomical price. I donated all the proceeds to a foundation supporting students in jewelry design, establishing a scholarship in Mary's name. Life slowly moved forward, and I began to accept new commissions and create new works. Occasionally, I would think of that curator with a unique insight into jewelry, wondering if she was still working at the art museum. Until one day, I received an email from HL. There were no words, only an image. A sketch of a ring design, the style strikingly similar to Mary's unfinished series. My heart raced as I replied immediately. Who is this? The response came quickly. Yesterday, you brushed past me by the cafe on the street corner, but you didn't recognize me. If you want to know more, wait for me at the museum entrance at noon tomorrow. Is it that librarian? How could she have a design so reminiscent of Mary's style? Filled with anxiety and anticipation, I decided to accept the invitation and find out for myself. The next day at noon, I arrived at the art museum half an hour early. The sun was shining, and small groups of visitors were coming and going from the exhibition hall. But there was no sign of the mysterious person. Just as I began to suspect this might be some kind of prank, a faint trace of perfume drifted by, a scent unfamiliar to me, yet it inexplicably reminded me of Mary. Mr. George, thank you for coming. The voice behind me made me turn around. It was the curator. Today, she wasn't wearing her uniform, but a simple white dress, completely different from Mary's style when she was alive. Did you send the email? I asked directly. She nodded. There are some things I want to tell you, but not here. Will you come with me? We walked through the small park beside the art museum and arrived at a secluded cafe. The whole time, I kept observing her. Her mannerisms, the way she walked, none of it resembled Mary. Yet her sensitivity to detail and her focused attention gave me a strange sense of familiarity. Who are you, really? The moment we sat down, I couldn't wait to ask. My name is Nicole. She looked me straight in the eye. I'm Mary's student. This answer caught me off guard. Mary had indeed taught jewelry design part-time at the Design Academy before she passed away, but she had never mentioned having any particularly close students. I took her advanced design class the year before she passed, Nicole explained. Her guidance benefited me for a lifetime. That still doesn't explain why your designs resemble her style so much, I said, half convinced. Nicole took a folder out of her bag. These are all notes from Ms. Nicole's class and her feedback on my work. You can look at the handwriting and confirm that it's really hers. I carefully examined the materials. It was indeed Mary's handwriting. There were even traces of the pale purple ink she habitually used. Before Ms. Nicole passed away, she was guiding me on my graduation project, Nicole continued. The theme was interwoven light and shadow, blending Eastern and Western aesthetic elements. She gave me a lot of valuable advice and even showed me a sketch from a private project she was working on at the time. George's special birthday project? I blurted out. Nicole's eyes widened in surprise. You know about it? I only found out recently. I briefly explained the origin of the blood amber. I knew that blood amber would eventually find its way back to you, Nicole said with a smile. Nicole always said it was a destined gift. Is that why you contacted me? Because you saw the blood amber? Nicole was silent for a moment, as if choosing her words carefully. Not entirely. After Nicole passed away, I've been trying to carry on the design philosophy she taught me. Some time ago, I happened to see the news about your eternity being stolen, and then I saw someone impersonating Nicole. I thought I should tell you a few things. She took a letter out of her bag. This is the last letter Nicole gave me after class before she passed away. She said if her surprise plan went smoothly, I should show you this letter. If anything went wrong and she was gone, I should still make sure you see it. I took the envelope. It was indeed Mary's handwriting, and it read, "To my dearest husband." The envelope had already been opened. I didn't know what was in the letter at the time. I just kept it as Nicole instructed, Nicole explained. It wasn't until I saw the news that I opened it. I hope you won't blame me. I carefully took out the letter paper and unfolded it to read. Dear George, if you are reading this letter, perhaps my surprise plan has gone awry. Don't worry, it's just that the plan has changed, and the form of the gift may be different now. The blood amber I picked for you is said to be known as the Eye of Rebirth. Legend has it that looking at the world through it reveals truths that are often overlooked. I hope it can become a turning point in your artistic career, leading you to see new possibilities. All these years, your paintings have always depicted backs, as if you're afraid to face something head-on. I hope this gemstone will give you the courage to paint the front, to capture true emotions. No matter what happens, please remember, love does not disappear, it merely changes form, like this blood amber, which, after millions of years, transforms from resin into a gem, yet still shines. Forever loving you, Mary. The handwriting became a bit messy at the end, as if written in a hurry. I stroked the paper, as if I could feel Mary's emotions at that moment. Thank you, I said, my voice choked with emotion. This means a lot to me. You're welcome. I'm just fulfilling Ms. Nicole's request, Nicole said with a smile. Actually, there's one more thing I'd like to ask your help with. What is it? I'd like to apply for the Mary Scholarship you established, she said, taking a design portfolio out of her bag. This is my graduation project, combining Ms. Nicole's ideas with my own innovations. As I flipped through the portfolio, I was surprised to find that while these designs bore traces of Mary's influence, they also possessed a unique style and innovative touches. In particular, a series called Metamorphosis cleverly combined jewelry with transformable elements, allowing the pieces to change form according to the wearer's mood and occasion. This is outstanding, I praised sincerely. Mary would be proud of you. A hint of joy flashed in Nicole's eyes. Really? I've always worried I couldn't live up to her expectations. You've already moved beyond the learning stage and developed your own style. That's exactly what she hoped to see. As we talked, sunlight streamed through the window and fell on Nicole. In that moment, I seemed to understand something. When Mary spoke of love changing its form, perhaps she wasn't just referring to the blood amber, but also to her passion for art and its legacy. Luna tried to impersonate Mary by mimicking her appearance, but she could never truly replicate who she was. Nicole, on the other hand, looked nothing like Mary, yet she inherited a part of her artistic vision and spirit. Perhaps this is the true gift Mary left me, not the blood amber, but a new possibility, a path out of the past. Nicole's graduation exhibition was held in a small gallery. Though the space was modest, it was exquisitely arranged. Her works were divided into 3 series, representing the past, the present, and the future, forming a complete narrative. This is a brilliant idea, I sincerely praised. From tradition to contemporary and then to the future, it showcases the evolution and possibilities of jewelry design. Nicole smiled and nodded. This was inspired by teacher Nicole. She always says that good design should look back at history, be grounded in the present, and look forward to the future. As I walked through the exhibition hall, I noticed a special display case in the corner, containing only one piece, a seemingly simple ring with a small red gemstone set in the center. This is. I leaned in to read the label, which said, "In memory, dedicated to Teacher Mary." Yes, I made it from a small piece of blood amber I bought with my own savings, Nicole explained. It can't compare to the quality of yours, but it's also from Myanmar. I examined the design of the ring closely. Clean, powerful lines, with fine silver threads encircling the blood amber, as if protecting the central gem, yet also seeming to radiate light outward. This is very similar to Mary's final design style, I said softly, but it also has your own unique touch. I wanted to create a piece that could both commemorate Teacher Nicole and showcase my own style, Nicole explained. The blood amber represents her influence, while the outer design is the direction of my own development. The exhibition attracted quite a few industry insiders, including some well-known figures from the jewelry design world. After viewing the exhibition, an older female designer approached Nicole and offered her an internship opportunity. I stood by, genuinely happy for Nicole. In the evening, as the exhibition was drawing to a close, Frank arrived as well. Seeing me with Nicole, he gave me a knowing smile. "New friend?" he asked me quietly. "Mary's student," I explained simply. "Very talented." Frank nodded without asking further questions. After touring the exhibition, he gave high praise to Nicole's work. It blends traditional and modern elements, demonstrating both technical skill and artistic expression, quite rare. Nicole thanked him politely. This wouldn't have been possible without the guidance of Teacher Nicole and Teacher George. After the exhibition, the three of us went to a nearby restaurant for dinner. During the meal, Frank talked about recent trends in the art market, while Nicole shared her insights on contemporary jewelry design. The conversation was light and pleasant, and I realized it had been a long time since I had relaxed and chatted with others like this. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank received an urgent call and left early. Only Nicole and I remained in the restaurant, and the atmosphere suddenly became a bit quiet. "Mr. George," Nicole hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I've always had a question I wanted to ask you." "What is it?" "After you finished The Pursuit, what are you planning to create next?" The question caught me off guard. To be honest, ever since The Pursuit, I haven't had any new inspiration. That painting seemed to have drained all my emotions and creativity. "I haven't decided yet," I answered honestly. "It might take some time to find a new direction." Nicole nodded thoughtfully. Nicole once said that the hardest thing for an artist isn't creating a stunning masterpiece, but finding a way forward after reaching the peak. She really did say that, I recalled with a smile. Mary always saw further than I did. "Maybe," Nicole said softly, "you could try a new direction that combines your work with jewelry design, like in The Pursuit, but taking it even further." I recalled what Mary mentioned in her letter about seeing new possibilities, and suddenly I was inspired. "You mean creating a series of works that combine painting and jewelry?" "Exactly," Nicole said excitedly. "Your paintings create emotion in two-dimensional space, while jewelry gives it tangible form in the three-dimensional world. The combination of the two would have an astonishing effect." The more we talked, the more engaged we became, even sketching a few concept designs on the restaurant's napkins. Nicole's ideas were fresh and bold, perfectly aligning with my artistic vision, yet bringing a new perspective. As we left the restaurant, Nicole suddenly said, "I have to confess something." I looked at her in confusion. "I reached out to you not only to deliver Nicole's letter, but also for a personal reason. I hope to learn from you," she said candidly. "I want to become a designer like Nicole, someone who not only creates beautiful works but also perfectly blends art with emotion." Her sincerity moved me. "You're already on that path, and you're doing very well." "Then, may I consult you often?" she asked a little nervously. Of course, I'd be delighted. On the way home, a series of new works already began to take shape in my mind. A cross-disciplinary art that fuses painting and jewelry, both as a tribute to Mary and as a new starting point in my artistic career. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, Mary stood in a halo of blood-red light, smiling at me and saying, "See, I knew you would find a new direction." When I woke up, I got out of bed immediately and began sketching for the new series. I decided to name it Rebirth. not only representing the ancient life forever preserved in blood amber, but also symbolizing the rebirth of my artistic career, as well as the inheritance and development of Mary's artistic vision. A week later, I submitted a new series proposal to the gallery and received an enthusiastic response. The curator even suggested holding a special exhibition themed Between Dimensions, a dialogue between painting and jewelry. For this project, I invited Nicole to join the team as a jewelry design consultant. She had just graduated from design school and was both excited and nervous about the opportunity. "Am I really up to the task?" she asked me in the studio. "You understand Mary's design philosophy better than anyone," I assured her. "That's exactly what I need." In the days that followed, we worked at a feverish pace. We created during the day and discussed at night, sometimes even working through until dawn. Nicole's ideas flowed endlessly, and I transformed those thoughts into concrete artistic expressions. In the process, I rediscovered the pure joy of creation that I hadn't felt in a long time. One late night, when we finally finished the design for our first piece, Nicole clapped her hands excitedly. "This is amazing. Teacher Nicole will definitely love it." At the mention of Mary, she suddenly realized her slip and looked at me nervously. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "It's all right," I said with a smile. "I think Mary really would like it." She always hoped I could step out of my comfort zone and try new ways of expressing myself. Nicole let out a sigh of relief, then hesitantly asked, "Professor George, may I ask you a personal question?" "What is it?" "When you faced the woman impersonating Professor Nicole, how did you see through her? I mean, from the news reports, she seemed like an exact copy of Professor Nicole." I pondered for a moment. Superficial resemblance is easy to achieve, but a true personality cannot be duplicated. Mary's perception of art, her attitude toward life, the way she handled details, these were all unique. Just like a work of art, Nicole mused, no matter how perfect a replica is, it can never capture the soul of the original. Exactly. We worked through the night again, and finally established the overall framework for the Rebirth series. 7 pieces, each blending elements of painting and jewelry, together telling a story of loss and recovery, death and rebirth. As our collaboration deepened, my relationship with Nicole gradually shifted from teacher and student to partners, both mentor and friend. Sometimes, when the light traced the gentle contours of her focused profile, I would unconsciously think of Mary. But soon, I realized that this association wasn't due to any physical resemblance, but rather that same dedication and passion for art. "George, you look much more spirited lately," Frank remarked at a gathering. "It's been a while since I've seen you so full of life." "Yeah, the new project has helped me rediscover the joy of creating." "Nicole's a good girl," Frank said meaningfully. "Talented, and she really understands you." I understood his implication, but just smiled without responding. There was indeed a special understanding between Nicole and me, but it was more rooted in our shared passion for art than anything else. At least for now. The creation of the Rebirth series took 3 months, longer than expected, but the results were stunning. Each piece was a perfect fusion of painting and jewelry art, offering both the pleasure of viewing as a flat image and the discovery of 3-dimensional effects brought by the jewelry elements from different angles. A week before the exhibition opened, I received an unexpected visitor, Luna. She had served her sentence and was released early. She looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but her eyes were clearer. "I came to apologize to you in person." She stood at the studio door, her voice low, "for everything I have done." I didn't respond immediately, but simply invited her in to sit down. "I know that an apology can't make up for the loss," she continued, "but I want you to know that I truly regret it." "How is your sister's illness?" I asked. She looked up in surprise. You know. I guessed. "You said you needed money for a reason, and I think that must have been true." "Yes," she nodded. "My sister's surgery was a success, and now she's fully recovered. For the past 3 years, I've been thinking about how to make up for my mistakes, even though I may never be able to." I was silent for a moment, then said, "You know, in a way, your appearance actually helped me." "What do you mean?" "It forced me to confront the past, to re-examine my memories with Mary, and ultimately to find a way forward." I pointed to the sketches of the Rebirth series on the wall and briefly explained this new project. Luna listened quietly, a look of genuine respect in her eyes. I'm glad you were able to find a new beginning from that nightmare, she said at last. I hope I can find my own path to rebirth as well. As she left, she handed me a small package. These are some simple pieces of jewelry I made in prison. The craftsmanship is rough, but each one represents my remorse and blessings. I hope you can accept them. Opening the package, I found several small trinkets handmade from fine wire and colorful glass beads. Though simple, it was clear the creator had poured their heart into them. Nicole happened to come into the studio at that moment. Seeing the trinkets, she asked curiously, "What are these?" I told her about Luna's visit. "You forgave her?" Nicole was a bit surprised. "Not exactly forgiveness," I said thoughtfully. "It's more like understanding. Everyone has their own hardships and choices. What's important is how we learn and grow from our mistakes." Nicole nodded pensively, picking up a piece of jewelry to examine it closely. The craftsmanship is rough, but the concept is ingenious. This person seems to have a talent for design. "Perhaps," I said, "everyone has the possibility of being reborn." On the day of the exhibition opening, numerous figures from the art and jewelry worlds gathered together. The Rebirth series received unprecedented acclaim. Critics called it a model of cross-disciplinary art, and the gallery owner was overjoyed, announcing plans for a nationwide tour. In the crowd, I saw Luna. She was dressed simply, standing quietly in a corner, admiring the exhibits. Our eyes met in the air. She nodded slightly, then walked away. "Who was that?" Nicole asked, standing beside me. "Someone searching for rebirth," I replied. Nicole seemed to understand and asked no more. We stood side by side before the pursuit, watching the blood amber refract a strange light under the lamps, like the silent burning of life's flame. "Thank you," I whispered to Nicole. "Without you, this series might never have come into being. It was your philosophy that guided us, teacher Nicole," she replied modestly. I was just fortunate enough to be the messenger. In that moment, I suddenly understood the true meaning of what Mary had written in her letter. Love has changed its form. Love exists not only in memory and longing, but also in inheritance and innovation, shining brightly in every spark of artistic creation. And I, at last, had learned how to begin anew after loss, to embrace rebirth while still searching. The success of the exhibition exceeded everyone's expectations. In just 1 month, the Rebirth series was reported on by major media outlets and even attracted the attention of the international art world. A renowned auction house extended an olive branch to me, hoping to include several pieces in their annual highlight auction. "This is an unprecedented opportunity," Frank said excitedly. "If the deal goes through, you'll become a top player in the contemporary art market." I wasn't particularly concerned with commercial success, but I did feel the joy of having my work widely recognized. More importantly, this series opened up a new artistic path for me, freeing me from the creative shackles of the past 3 years. Nicole benefited as well. As the project's jewelry design consultant, she received high praise from the industry. Several well-known jewelry brands reached out to her, hoping she would join their design teams. "Which offer are you planning to accept?" One night, as we were tidying up the studio together, I asked her. "To be honest, I'm still hesitating." Nicole paused her work. "These are all great opportunities, but..." "But what?" "But I want to keep working with you." She looked straight into my eyes. "Rebirth is just the beginning, isn't it?" Her candor surprised me a little. Indeed, the success of this series had opened up many new creative possibilities for us, but I wasn't sure if I should continue such a close working relationship. "You should consider your own career development," I said tactfully. "These opportunities are very rare for young designers." Nicole seemed to sense my hesitation and nodded gently. "I understand." In the days that followed, we were both busy and rarely had the chance to talk alone. A week later, Nicole told me she had decided to accept an invitation from a French jewelry brand and would be going to Paris to work for 2 years. "Congratulations," I said sincerely. "It's a very good choice." "Thank you," she replied with a smile, though a fleeting, elusive emotion flashed in her eyes. "I think this is the best arrangement for both of us." Before Nicole left, we held a small farewell party. Frank, the curator, and a few mutual friends came. The atmosphere was warm, tinged with a hint of sadness. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank found an opportunity to pull me aside. "Are you really going to just let her go like this?" "What do you mean?" I pretended not to understand. "Don't play dumb, man," Frank said bluntly. You have feelings for her. That's obvious. That's just professional rapport, I argued. Is that so? Frank looked at me meaningfully. Then why have you been so distracted ever since she decided to go to France? I was at a loss for words. In fact, these past few days I had indeed felt an inexplicable sense of loss, but I kept telling myself it was only because I had lost an excellent partner. I know what you're worried about. Frank lowered his voice. You feel like you're letting Mary down, don't you? I remained silent. He had touched upon the deepest concern in my heart. Mary has been gone for 3 years now. Frank gently patted my shoulder. She would want you to be happy. After the party ended, I walked Nicole home. The night was tranquil as water, and the city lights flowed around us. Thank you for your help and guidance these past few months. Nicole stopped at the entrance of her apartment building. This experience has meant so much to me. I should be thanking you, I said sincerely. Without you, the Rebirth series would never have been completed. We fell into silence, as if both searching for the right words to say goodbye. My flight is the morning after tomorrow, Nicole finally said. I still have some things to take care of tomorrow. So, this is probably the last time we'll see each other. 2 years will pass quickly. I tried to make my voice sound light. Paris is a beautiful city. You'll like it there. She nodded, a complex emotion flickering in her eyes. Professor George, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, but never found the right opportunity. What is it? I chose to study jewelry design because I saw Nicole's works. She took a deep breath, or more precisely, because I saw the pieces Nicole designed for you. The way she perfectly fused love and art moved me deeply. I didn't know that, I said in surprise. I've always hoped that one day I could be like Nicole, creating art filled with emotion. Nicole continued, her words coming faster, as if afraid she might lose her courage. But now I realize that what I want even more is to create for a specific person, just like Nicole created for you. I understood her implication, and my heart suddenly began to race. Nicole, please don't respond, she gently interrupted me. I just wanted you to know before I leave. No matter how you feel right now, remember that starting over is not a betrayal of the past, but a way of cherishing life. With that, she rose up on her tiptoes and softly kissed my cheek, then quickly turned and walked into the apartment building, leaving me standing alone in the night, my mind in turmoil. After returning home, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, replaying Nicole's words and that gentle kiss over and over in my mind. Suddenly, I remembered a small box in the study, where Mary's last complete letter was kept, a letter I had found while sorting through her belongings. But at the time, overwhelmed by grief, I never had the courage to open. Now, I finally mustered the courage to walk into the study and retrieve that delicate little box from the depths of the drawer. Inside lay a pale pink letter, bearing Mary's familiar handwriting. Dearest George, by the time you read this letter, you may find yourself at a crossroads in life, hesitating between moving forward or staying where you are. My greatest wish is that you can move bravely through life, as freely as your brush glides across the canvas. Love is not a shackle, but a liberation. Memory is not a burden, but a source of strength. If one day you meet someone who can rekindle the light in your eyes, please don't hesitate because of your longing for me. True love is wishing happiness for the other, even if there is no longer a place for oneself in that happiness. Remember, the days we loved each other were complete, with no need for regrets. And now, it's time to paint a new picture, my beloved. Forever loving you. Mary. Tears blurred my vision. It was as if Mary had foreseen my current situation and had already given me her blessing. She was always like this, always able to see further and more clearly than I could. At that moment, I made up my mind. Early the next morning, I drove straight to Nicole's apartment. Professor George? Nicole opened the door in surprise, clearly not expecting me. I have something to say to you. I looked her straight in the eyes, not as your teacher, but as George. I handed her Mary's letter. Nicole read it carefully, her expression shifting from surprise to being moved, and finally, her eyes grew moist. She truly was an extraordinary woman, Nicole said softly, handing the letter back to me. Yes, she was, I nodded. That's exactly why I believe her words. Nicole, cancel your plans for Paris. Stay and continue our collaboration, will you? Nicole looked at me in shock. Are you serious? I've never been more serious, I said quietly. Rebirth is not just the name of an artwork, it's a possibility in life. Are you willing to explore that possibility with me? Her answer was a firm embrace, warm and real, like the first ray of sunlight after a long winter. In that moment, I felt as if Mary was somewhere, smiling down on us, blessing this new beginning. Life is like that blood amber, enduring countless ages of change and sedimentation, ultimately transforming into an eternal radiance. And I, at last, understood what true pursuit is, what true rebirth means. A year later, Nicole and I unveiled our second joint project, Interwoven, at the National Art Museum. This series was even bolder and more innovative than Rebirth, blending Eastern and Western aesthetics with various art forms. Critics hailed it as a significant breakthrough in contemporary art. At the opening ceremony, Nicole held my arm as we faced the media interviews and congratulations from the audience together. She wore a simple white dress, and around her neck was the Eye of Rebirth necklace we designed together. She completed the jewelry part based on my painting. "Your collaboration seems even more in sync than your last project," a reporter asked with a suggestive smile. Nicole glanced at me, and we exchanged a smile. Yes, both in art and in life, we found the perfect balance. This indirect answer drew a round of good-natured laughter from the reporters present. My relationship with Nicole was no longer a secret, but we always kept a low profile, letting the public's attention remain focused on our artistic creations. After the exhibition, we drove out to a small hill in the countryside. There stood an ancient oak tree, beneath which Mary's ashes were laid to rest. This was the place we chose, rather than a traditional cemetery, natural, peaceful, just like Mary herself. "Mary, the exhibition was a great success today," I said softly to the stone beneath the tree. "Nicole's designs were admired by everyone, just as you once predicted." Nicole crouched down and placed a bouquet of white daisies in front of the stone. "Teacher Nicole, I've been working hard to become the kind of designer you hoped I would be. I hope you can be proud of me." A gentle breeze stirred, and the oak's leaves rustled softly, as if it were Mary's reply. On the way back, Nicole suddenly said, "I've been thinking about something." "What is it?" "If that woman who pretended to be Ms. Nicole hadn't appeared, you might never have found the blood amber, never created the pursuit, and we might never have met." Her words made me fall into deep thought. Indeed, it was the series of events triggered by that deception that ultimately led to everything now. It feels as if, in the unseen, some force has been orchestrating it all. "Perhaps that's the irony of fate," I said softly. "Sometimes, the worst beginnings can lead us to the best endings." When I returned home, I received an unexpected package. Upon opening it, I found a delicate little box containing a handmade ring. Though simple, the craftsmanship had improved greatly compared to the pieces I had seen before. There was a note attached. "Mr. George, thank you for your kindness and understanding a year ago, which gave me the courage to start over. Now I have found a job at a small jewelry shop, and my life is gradually getting back on track. This ring represents my gratitude, and I wish you happiness and well-being on your new path." "Luna," I handed the ring to Nicole. After examining it carefully, she remarked, "Her skills have improved a lot. She truly is talent." "Some mistakes in life shouldn't become permanent scars," I sighed. "Everyone deserves a second chance." That night, we sat in the studio, discussing ideas for the next series. Nicole suddenly proposed a bold idea. I was thinking, maybe we could try connecting the different stages of our work to create a complete narrative. From eternity to quest, then to rebirth, and intertwined, they're actually different phases in a person's life journey. "You mean?" "A complete story about loss, searching, rebirth, and integration," she explained excitedly, ultimately asking what is the most precious treasure in life. "Love." I finished her sentence. "No matter what form it takes." Nicole nodded, her eyes sparkling with creative fire. "We could call it the forms of love, an unprecedented artistic exploration." Sounds like a long-term, ambitious project. "We have time," she smiled, holding my hand. "We have so much time." In that moment, I felt a powerful surge of creative inspiration, just like when I first began my artistic career years ago, filled with passion and possibility. But this time, I was not facing the blank canvas alone. 2 years later, the Forms of Love series was exhibited simultaneously in the world's 5 greatest art museums, causing an unprecedented sensation. Critics called it a milestone in contemporary art history, blending painting, sculpture, jewelry design, and other art forms to create an entirely new artistic language. The final piece of the exhibition was titled Eternal Ring, a massive circular canvas depicting every form of love and life, familial, platonic, romantic, and the love for art itself. The edge of the canvas was inlaid with gemstones of various sizes, and under certain lighting, these gems would cast light onto specific parts of the canvas, revealing another hidden layer of patterns. The centerpiece of this work is a massive blood amber. Through intricate optical design, the light it projects perfectly outlines two embracing figures. One is Mary, the other is Nicole, symbolizing the intersection of past and present, the fusion of memory and rebirth. On the closing day of the exhibition, in front of the eternal ring, I knelt on one knee and proposed to Nicole. The ring was crafted from the very blood amber Mary had once prepared for me, designed by my own hand and fashioned by the finest jeweler. This ring carries the memories of the past and the hopes for the future, I whispered softly. Nicole, will you be the eternal ring in my life? Her tears sparkled under the spotlight. I will. Amidst the cheers, I remembered what Mary once said. Love does not disappear. It merely changes its form. Yes, love does not disappear. It exists in memories, in art, in every rebirth and new beginning. It traverses time and crosses space, like that blood amber which, after millions of years, still shines, forever retaining the original warmth and brilliance of life. This is the answer I have been searching for all along. Between loss and gain, between seeking and rebirth, love remains constant, only appearing in different forms along the journey of life. And all we need to do is bravely accept this gift, no matter how it comes to us. On the day of the wedding, the sky was a clear, washed blue. Beneath the ancient oak tree that had watched over Mary, we exchanged our vows. A gentle breeze stirred, making the leaves whisper as if blessings were drifting in from another world. No matter when or where, Nicole said softly, we'll always remember that it was she who brought us together. Yes, I squeezed her hand, and we will always cherish this gift. In the brilliant sunlight, the blood amber ring gleamed, radiant as life itself, enduring the passage of time, yet still shining bright.